Hi, this is Rob. I'm going to demonstrate how to do focus stacking with the Sony A6000 compact mirrorless camera in Photoshop. What is focus stacking and when do you use it? You use focus stacking when you want to take a close-up of a photo of a small object or a group of small objects, and you want as much of those objects in focus. Focus stacking increases the depth of focus from front to back. When you bring your camera lens very close to an object, only part of that object can be in focus at a time. Thus, we need to take a series of photos of the same subject and adjust the focus of each shot. So each shot will have a different part in focus. Then we bring in those photos in Photoshop and combine them to produce one photo with the whole subject completely in focus. Let's get started. You need a good, strong, steady tripod for focus stacking because you want the camera and the subject to be in the exact same position for each shot that we take. I'm going to shoot with the Sony A6000 camera with a Sony E-mount 20mm f2.8 lens. This is the only lens that I currently own for this camera. My subject will be these two small toy cars. For focus stacking, you want to use manual focus. I'm going to turn off manual focus assist, MF assist. MF assist automatically zooms in when you adjust the manual focus ring on the lens. In this case, I will not use MF assist, but you can use MF assist when doing focus stacking to help you focus on different parts of the subject. I want to use manual everything, but first I need to take a light reading using the camera. Set the shooting mode to aperture priority, then set the aperture to the lowest value. In the case of my lens, that would be 2.8. Now I will set the ISO to 100. The metering mode is set to multi. Right now I'm using flexible spot focus area, but later I will change that to manual focus. Adjust the flexible spot focus area on the subject and press the shutter halfway down. And there on the bottom of the LCD is my light reading. 1/30th of a second, f2.8 aperture, and ISO 100. Now change the shooting mode to manual. Using the control wheel, adjust the time to 1/30th of a second. I want to bring in more light, so I'll adjust to 1/15th of a second. That is too much light. I will go to 1/20th of a second, and I will leave it there. I changed the position of the two cars to make the composition more interesting. Now change the focus mode to manual. Change the drive mode to 2-second timer. Now we are ready to take our series of photos. Turn the focus ring on the lens. This manual focus line appears on the LCD. I'm going to start my focus from back to front, so I will adjust the focus ring until I see something in the very back of the subject in focus. And also notice in which direction that little square on the manual focus line on the LCD is going. In my case, it's going to the left. Now take the first shot. Turn the focus ring slightly so that little square on the manual focus line on the LCD is going to the left. Then take the shot. Now just keep repeating. I'm going to keep repeating until I get to the end of that manual focus line. We may not need all these photos. Now I'll bring in these photos in Lightroom. If you do not have Lightroom, you can skip this step. I'll run through these photos and you can see how the focus changes in each photo. I don't need all these photos because some of them are completely out of focus. I'm going to choose these 7 photos and export them to another file. I'm going to right-click, choose Export, choose Export again. I'm going to export these as JPEG. It may take a couple of minutes to export depending on how many photos you are exporting. Now let's bring these photos into Photoshop. Any recent version of Photoshop should work. I'm using Photoshop CS5. Go to File, Scripts near the bottom, and then choose Load Files into Stack. This window pops up. Choose Browse and go to the location where the files are located. Here they are. Select the top photo, go to the bottom photo while holding the Shift key and select the bottom photo. This will select all the photos. Select Open in the lower right. Check this box. Attempt to automatically align source images. Hit OK. Photoshop is now loading up the photos into layers. This may take a couple of minutes. In the lower right, you can see the 7 photos in layers. As I hide the layers, you can see the focus in each of the photos. Next step, go to Edit, down to Auto Blend Layers, and select Auto Blend Layers. This window pops up, and choose Stack Images, and check the box below, Seamless Tones and Colors, and hit OK. Photoshop is now selecting the areas in each photo where there is a focus and making a layer mask on each photo. This may take a couple of minutes. Photoshop is done masking the layer mask on each photo. Let's look at each layer mask. The light part of the mask is the part of the photo that is in focus. I'm going to crop in. Here's what each photo looks like, the parts that are in focus. That is basically it. You can now use Photoshop to adjust the image. I'll add some light and apply a vintage filter. And here's my final image. Okay, that's it. That is focus stacking using the Sony A6000 camera in Photoshop. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel.